Yeah, whatever you want. Good evening. I call this meeting to order. Will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can we please start with a roll call?
Council President Albertson.
Here.
Councilmember Rivera.
Here.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
Here.
Councilmember McIrvin.
Here.
Councilmember Prince.
Here.
Councilmember Perez.
Here.
And Councilmember Vaughn.
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
All right, thank you, Jason. And first up, we have a special presentation tonight, Small Business Administration Resources for Disaster Recovery, and presenting will be Deb Needham.
I'm going to introduce Javier, and he is going to speak about Small Business Administration resources.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Javier Caltenco, Public Information Officer with the U.S. Small Business Administration, Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. And SBA is offering low-interest federal disaster loans to businesses of all sizes, most private nonprofit organizations, homeowners, and renters who were affected by the bomb cyclone that happened back in November. SBA is the primary source of funds to pay for repairs or replacement costs not fully covered by the insurance. Okay. So we have SBA is offering low-interest federal disaster loans. We have two different types of loans for businesses. The first one is for any physical damages they had. For example, if they had damages to their real estate, machinery, equipment, appliances, etc. We also have, there's a limit of $2 million. We also have the economic injury disaster loan, which is it's a working capital loan to help the smaller businesses and nonprofit organizations maintain their doors open. We want to make sure that if they're suffering economically, they can make those payments for any liabilities they may have. It could be for payroll, water, electricity, or any other similar expense they may have. Their limit is also $2 million, so it could be a combination of physical and economic injury up to $2 million. For homeowners, we have up to $500,000 to repair or replace their primary residence. If they own a secondary home, as long as they're using it as a business, they can also apply as a business for that loan, for that property. For homeowners and renters, we have up to $100,000 to repair or replace any personal property they lost. So, for example, they can use it for a personal vehicle, appliances, furniture, just to give you an example. What are some of the benefits of having an SBA loan is that there's no application fee. There's no prepayment. There's no prepayment fee. So if they pay ahead of time, we don't charge them any fee or any for that. They're not obligated to take the loan. So therefore, even if they've been approved, they don't have to take the loan. The terms are up to 30 years. And for the first 12 months, they don't have to make any payments. And for the first 12 months, is 0% interest rate. Okay, so we do have deadlines, so we want to make sure that they are aware if they need to apply for the SBA. They are aware of the deadline. So if they have any physical damages, they need to apply before February 21st. If they have the economic injury disaster loan, they need to apply before September 23, 2025. Again, as I mentioned, these are loans, so therefore they need to be repaid back. And just to let you know about the interest rates for homeowners is as low as 2.567%. For businesses, it's as low as 4%, and for nonprofits, it's 3.625%. As of now, we have offered more than $1.5 million for this declaration, and we have distributed more than $143,000. Oh, sorry, disbursed. Correct. So we have different centers. Right now we have two centers open, one in Bellevue and the other one here in Renton. We are going to open a third one tomorrow in Monroe, Washington. And if they need, so we recommend everybody who was impacted, to come here, and they can answer we can have representatives who can answer their questions. They can help with the application, and we recommend that they come to the centers. But they can also apply online. They can go to lending.sba.gov. They can also fill out the application there. They can call our 800 number is 800-659-2955. So if they have any questions, they can call that number. And yeah, I think that's what I wanted to mention. So I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to provide this information.
And Javier, you said there's a location in Renton?
Yes.
What's the address of that location?
It's at the Bellevue region. I'm sorry. Is the King County Elections Voting Center? Okay. And it's open Monday through Friday for 8:30 p.m. 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Providing us the information. Okay, next up is the administrative report.
All right, good evening, everyone. Applications are being accepted through January 20th for the Renton Civic Academy. The academy will take place February 13th through March 20th and is open to Renton residents and business owners ready to take the next step in being informed and involved in the community. To complete the application, please visit yourvoice.rentonwa.gov/civic-academy. For questions, you can contact Casey King at cking@rentonwa.gov or via phone at 206-550-4503. Information about preventative street maintenance, traffic impact projects, and road closures happening this week can be found at rentonwa.gov/traffic. While projects are weather permitting, unless otherwise noted, streets will always remain open.
All right, thank you. Next up is audience comment. We do have a few people signed up to speak and one virtual. I want to remind everybody that all remarks must be addressed to the council as a whole, and if a response is requested, please provide the address, including email address. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak. There's a timer and a light up ahead. When the little yellow light comes on, please start wrapping up your comments. First up is Michael Westgard.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, and the council. Appreciate your time. I come tonight again to talk about the 2025 minimum wage increase. The mayor and his administration has decided to do different math than the cities of Tukwila and Seattle, which are under the same legislative language for the voter-approved legislation. The key phrase is annual average growth rate, the 12-month period ending in August. It's not enough to take August to August growth rate, which is just one data point. You actually have to average the growth rate over the whole period, which is 6 bi-monthly data points covering the 12-month period. Tukwila and Seattle, which again have the identical language to the Renton law, both did this, their calculations this way. This error caused a 1% difference in the increase between Seattle, which again was 4%. So they went from 1997 to 2076. Tukwila, which had the same wage to start 2029, 4% brought it to 2110. And the city of Renton has 3%, which is 2029, but now is 2090. Because of this, every day businesses for the city and the city itself continue, because it's one of the largest employers, are in violation of the legislation and in depriving their employees that most need a hand up are being pushed down yet again. So this is just a continuation of the disregard for the working people of Renton. from the delay of taking up the raise the wage legislation, which would have allowed council to make changes as they saw fit, instead opting for the ballot after we got enough signatures to qualify, and the exploration of repealing of the initiative before it was even initiated. Before it was even to the non-action of any, to the non-action of any form of renter protection, despite the city's own study showing that we have a majority renter city now with rates on par with Seattle. At every turn, this administration prefers to be a concierge to business and a barrier to working people of Renton who are just trying to get through the week. We've notified the state of Washington Department of Labor and Industries, MLK Labor, which represents the majority of unions that work in Renton, and our own lawyers for support on this issue. We appreciate your time this evening and stand at the ready to help support the city with correcting this oversight and making sure the low-wage workers of Renton are paid what they are due from this legislation. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Next up is Nora Schultz.
Hi, I'm Nora Schultz. I've been here before. I'm here again about Fifth and Park. I won't go into the issues. We all know the problem. I will say I'm here because I'm disappointed. And I'm disappointed because we came to council many, many times asking for help, and we aren't getting communicated with. So the optics look bad to us. King 5 shows up and suddenly things start to happen. There's trespassing signs going up on the building. You know, the fence is still there, even though I drove by it tonight and there are many holes in it. It's ineffective. The council can move quickly when they are motivated. There was a banner that went up on the building and it was down in a day and a half. So if the council can move fast for these other incidents, can we please get some relief with this building? You know, we're told to call RPD, but we were told that the police won't enter. If that's changed, then we need to know. You know, North Renton has an organization, we have a new president, we have people that the council can contact. Staff has been great, but it's very clear to us that staff is limited on what they can say to us when they correspond. So I'm hopeful that council can come to us and give us some clear direction about what's happening, some timelines that are reasonable, that we can go back and tell our people about. I own property at 5th and Pelly. I have a tenant who will not take her garbage out after dark. And it gets dark at 4:30 or 5 o'clock. So people are afraid to be near that building. It's very difficult for me as a landlord to rent property when that's literally down the street. So I appeal to you now to come to us with a plan and to give us some guidelines on what the next steps are. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for any efforts that are being made that I'm not aware of. So again, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next up is Cheryl Freeze.
Cheryl Freeze, resident of Renton. I am actually going to start with something that Ed just said, which is I signed up for the Renton Civic Academy. I'm hoping soon to get you've been invited letter. And the whole tone of my conversation with you all tonight is literally based on what it asked at the bottom of the application, which is what do I hope to get out of this? And really what I said was listen to learn and seek to understand. I want to have more empathy and understanding for what you all go through. I'm also going to follow suit with Nora, though, and what I said last week, which is I'm still hearing that we're tired. I'm still hearing that we're feeling like we're not communicated with. And last week, I was actually going to share a proverb. And when I said to you all that I was tabling my couple of pages of notes, part of it was picking up on the already charged room, and I didn't want to add to that charge. I do think it is important to share this evening, though. It is a proverb that shows up a lot in my feed in LinkedIn, and I love it. And it says, "A child who's not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth." And it's a proverb that conveys that when someone is not welcomed by their community, they may feel compelled to take drastic measures just to get a sense of feeling warmth and heard. I feel like that's the current state of affairs between, I'm not going to speak for all residents, but many residents and council. I feel like you still have an opportunity to control this narrative. It's a pretty short window of time remaining, though. And I keep thinking about what would it feel like and what would it look like if we knew that we could count on you all to be consistent communicators. I'd like to believe that the more you all communicate and engage with us, that you're going to find us to be more empathetic and allies. And I see the yellow light, so I'm going to jump down to the end because this is also from one of my favorite movies, and it's going to date me, which is Jerry Maguire when he says, "Help me, help you." So I personally would love nothing more than to be able to say they did everything they could. They communicated with us regularly. They were timely. They were diligent. It didn't turn out the way that we all hoped, but I knew that they were doing their best. So I'm asking you, please, to help us be able to say this. Help me to be able to say this. So please put a plan of communication together for the entire city of Renton and let us know what is happening, when it's happening, why it's happening. And if deadlines aren't met, just tell us why. We want to get behind you all. We can't right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is Ben Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor, President, council members, and most importantly, the city attorney and staff. Thank you very much for listening to me last time I was on the dais, and also making sure that no public meeting violations occurred. And I appreciate, Councilmember Ruth and Mayor Armando, and Councilmember James, entertaining my ideas, and for the rest of the council members for being most of the rest of the council members for being cool heads and when people approach you with problems. It's a joy to live in the city. I've been here for 17 years in North Renton, and we moved to the Hill. And this is an opportunity, I think, for citizens to talk to you. And I understand I've been kind of perusing what's been going on, what hasn't happened, what has happened, and what most likely has happened, but I don't know the details of it. And some of that obviously is covered in an executive session, so we understand that as citizens. But for me, I would love to hear broad strokes about what happens to a property like this and a discussion about that. It would calm me knowing that things are happening, or things like this are handled in this particular way without going into the specifics of this particular piece of property, because I understand that potentially at some point litigation could happen. So I think there is a way of communicating with citizens that talks about the issue without talking about the specific issue. Again, thank you very much for your time. And probably see you next week. Cheers.
All right. Next up is Diane Dobson.
Mr. Mayor and Renton City Council. I'm not here to talk to you guys tonight. I'm here to talk to the staff. Sometimes our neighbors, sometimes the residents, sometimes citizens, however you want to refer, come into these meetings and they're hot and they're frustrated. And as you've heard from the people before me, oftentimes it's just because that communication isn't there and they want to feel heard. And sometimes our comments, like I said, are hot and they fall short of the council and they land upon the staff. And you have an incredible staff here at the city of Renton. And for most of them, I can't speak to all, I don't know, They keep their head down, they work, they do what's asked of them, they're dedicated, they're loyal to this city, whether they want to be or not. I say that for most city employees that I've met, this is more than a job to them. They love their city, they love their mayor. And I want to apologize to the staff because sometimes it's not our intent, but our impact. And you have a hardworking staff here, and I hate the idea that any of them, and that includes the mayor, I hate the idea that any of them are impacted because of the frustrations that are coming to you all as council members. And I recognize that that might happen. So on behalf of whatever hat I wear, whether it be the chamber, whether it be the neighborhood, whether it be me as a resident, apparently I'm not afforded the multiple hats because I'm told when I come up here I wear them all. I want the staff to know we see you. And sometimes we make your jobs way tougher than they need to be, and you are appreciated. To that, and skipping over, I'd be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to talk to the city attorney. I would love for the city attorney to look into RCW 4.24.795, which was enacted through House Bill 1335 in 2023, which prohibits the malicious disclosure of personally identifiable information with the intent to harass, intimidate, or harm. I would encourage the council to once again revisit the idea of a code of conduct for elected officials, for commissioners. I know we have had some situations this past year with commissioners that have maybe caused the look forward rather than look back and maybe we need to do some background checks and things as they're representatives of the city and dealing with the public. And you know, there's things that are happening that maybe a code of conduct, while maybe not entirely enforceable, especially with the council because you're elected officials and that's up to the vote of the people. I think it's important, and it would say testament and speak volumes as to your commitment to running our city and those that you represent from a place of morality and ethics to uplift and not divide and not hurt the residents. So just city attorney, if you could maybe look into that and that RCW and if there's any application the same around here. But again, to the city staff, man, we make your jobs tough as residents, and I really, really want to say thank you. And that's the police department too. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, we do have one person signed up virtually.
I might have signed up for another sheet by on the list over there.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that's Mr. Paul Quin.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Paul Quin, and I live in Sammamish. I'm speaking to you as a resident. I speak to you as an individual who cares about fairness and how Renton solid waste customers should charge for disposal. Right now, we charge our residents and businesses for disposal based on the size of the container being picked up. The effect of this message is to say we don't care about how much you put in or divert from the landfill. It's completely unfair. It's to charge all people based on the size of the container rather than on what's in the container. We know this is wrong because our water, gas, and electricity charges are based on what we use rather than the size of the wires and pipes connecting us to service. We've been provided several handouts for you. Handout number 1 shows a graphic of the trend of the monthly cost for garbage disposal for your single-family residences. It continues to go higher and higher. What's worse than this trend is that this city doesn't allow residences or businesses to reduce their costs for disposal by properly diverting materials for recycling and compost. In fact, you infer an increased cost of folks who work hard sorting recyclables and composting and food scraps by charging them the very same as others who are indifferent to which waste stream their refuse goes into. This is unfair and wrong, and it can and should be changed by weighing the refuse each customer creates. To begin this change, I recommend a pilot program called Smart Disposal, which will help significantly improve the city's diversion rates. Handout number 3 outlines how smart disposal works in some detail. I'll now briefly describe what smart disposal is.
Sir, do you work for Smart Disposal?
No, smart disposal is an initiative. It's not a company.
Okay. Please
Smart
continue.
disposal weighs each container picked up by the hauler at each single-family home. This system uses postcards mailed to each resident, providing data specific to the resident, including a landfill diversion rate per pickup, and how their use of the utility compares to others in their community. I provided handout number 4 to show an example of a postcard report to residents. This system helps us move from a toss and forget mindset towards making better choices. We all know that feedback through measurement works because water, electricity, and gas are all metered. I provided you a recommendation for a proof of concept project plan. It shows for about $50,000 the city can demonstrate that the contents of residential containers can be weighed with accuracy and efficiency with no extra work needed by the haulage driver. Metering and reporting to residents is what we dispose of at the curb provides fairness to help us debate the increasing cost of disposal. This council should support fair pricing for our disposal utility. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then go ahead, Gabe Jones.
Appreciate you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thank you for that. Thank you for my time. My name is Gabriel Jones. I am an equity commissioner here with the city. Today, as usual, I come speaking as a resident. I always like to look at New Year's resolutions, right? Always a good time to think about past year, think about what you got next. What's going on in this next year? I think I would love to see the city make steps to make change without there being a political motive behind it. I'm feeling frustration lately with seeing change there, and actually there's genuinely good reason behind it, but also ulterior political motives behind it. And it's frustrating to me to see things that won't get passed because of political motives, not with this council, but there's always a little bit of shiftiness with stuff. And that's frustrating to me because at the end of the day, what I want to see is the city make moves that helps the city. And I'm very excited to help be a part of that change when I can, but also I'm very excited to see what all the stuff we've done the last year. I love this council. I love the work this council does, and you guys do incredible work to make change here. Let's see. Had a thought there. My phone died when I was taking notes, so I would love to see this council work together to see what we can do to make changes. I don't like the idea of actual issues being politicized to attack a certain council member. If we look at one way, if we get an issue that we keep pop up, well, yes, there's a serious issue, placing that all in the foot of a council member or a committee or a group of council members is not right, and it doesn't solve the issue. It just makes it so it can be used by political brownie points for other people while not actually making change. I want to see Renton residents make change for Renton. And however that happens, great. I'm very excited, and as usual, I'm very excited to talk with each and every one of you, get to know you all, and see what we can do to make the city better, as I started doing and will continue to do for as long as I possibly can. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we are on to the consent agenda. There are 3 items for council consideration. Are there any that you'd like pulled for separate discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President.
hearing none, I move to approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Council President Albertson, second by Councilmember Perez, that the council approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. We're on to unfinished business. Council President Albertson.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Rivera.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember McGurven.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Prince.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As always, the Finance Committee working very hard. So the Finance Committee has 7 committee reports to present.
Okay, the first committee report is regarding approval of claims and payroll vouchers. The Finance Committee approves the following payments. Accounts payable, total payment $28,339,265.67 for a number of vouchers. Payroll benefit withholding vouchers and 3 wire transfers. Payroll, total payment of $4,207,308.49 for payroll vouchers, including 1,358 direct deposits and 8 checks. This is the November 16th through November 30th, and December 1st through December 15th pay periods. And then Kidder Matthew vouchers, $79,171.25, and municipal court vouchers totaling $29,302.91. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Perez.
I move the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember O'Halloran, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries.
All right, the next report is regarding an interagency agreement for law enforcement liaison subgrants. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve the interagency agreement with the Washington Traffic Safety Commission for law enforcement liaison to receive up to $5,000 in grant funds to increase law enforcement participation in traffic safety enforcement and to serve as a resource for the region's Target Zero manager. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Perez.
the Transportation Department is putting a lot of effort to make sure that everybody's safe in the city, from pedestrians to people that are driving. So with that, I move that the council, and I appreciate their work to apply for all these grants that are helping the city at that level. With that, I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember O'Halloran, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries.
All right, the next report is regarding the King County Corridor HVE IAA FFY 2025. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve awarded additional speed HVE, which I believe is high visibility enforcement funds, in the amount of $10,000 for locally coordinated enforcement mobilizations to address all dangerous driving behavior along the corridor identified as 140th Avenue Southeast from Highway 169 south to 132nd Avenue Southeast to Highway 18. This too is signed by the committee chair and members.
Once again, Mr. Mayor, putting a lot of effort and keep everybody safe in the city. We do appreciate this effort. And with that, I move the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember O'Halloran, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
All right, the next report is regarding another grant, the Edward Byrne Fiscal Year 2024 Justice Assistance Grant. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program Fiscal Year 2024 Memorandum of Understanding in order to accept $29,013 in grant funds to assist police operations. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Perez.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember O'Halloran, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
All right, the next report is for a subaward agreement with the Puget Sound Regional Council for the Renton Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. The committee authorizes the mayor and city clerk to execute the subaward agreement with PSRC, the Puget Sound Regional Council, for the Renton Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Perez.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember O'Halloran, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Right, the next report is regarding amendment number 1 to an agreement with the Washington State Department of Transportation for a project coordinator. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to adopt the resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute amendment number 1, GCB WashDOT project coordinator agreement in support of the I-405 Renton to Bellevue widening and express toll lane project. This too is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Perez.
we can barely wait for that 405 waiting to be ended. But in the meantime, I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember Halloran, that the council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a
Yes.
question to the committee since I'm not part of the Finance Committee, because the completion was, the project was originally scheduled to be completed by the end of 2024, and now it's projected to be completed by the end of 2025. Is there a specific reasoning to that?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
That was not addressed during the Finance Committee, but I don't know if anybody here from Transportation that can answer that question.
We can certainly get you that information. I know that there's been a lot of cost overruns, and I have no idea what the delay is on that, but we can get you that information.
Yeah. And also, Mr. Mayor, during the committee was a request for the Transportation Department to come back to the Transportation Committee or to the COW to present an update on this project.
Okay? Mr. Bailey taking notes over there, so we will get back to you on that. Okay, any other discussion on the widening of 405, which is taking entirely too long? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, the final Finance Committee report is regarding a bid award for the Talbot Hill Reservoir Park Site improvements. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to award the construction contract to Active Construction Incorporated in the amount of $875,875 and approve a budget transfer in the amount of $162,000 to cover the cost of the construction contract, services during construction, permitting fees, contingencies, and contract administration. This, too, is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Perez.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember Halloran. The council concur with the Finance Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Next is Councilmember Van.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we're on to legislation and we have one resolution for adoption.
All right, this resolution is regarding that WashDOT coordinator agreement. A resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into Contract 19059, Amendment Number 1, to an interlocal agreement with the Washington State Department of Transportation, which amendment is titled GCB 2433, Coordinator Agreement, City of Renton, I-405, Renton to Bellevue Corridor Widening and Express Toll Lanes Project, Amendment Number 1.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Perez.
I move the resolution to be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember O'Halloran, that the resolution be adopted as read. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries unanimously. We're on to new business. Council President Albertson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, before I address the meetings, I do want to say a quick word to the comments made earlier, Nora and Cheryl. Cheryl, we spoke earlier. And for all listening, I do want to make it very clear that it's loud and clear. It's loud and clear. Your message is loud and clear that the communication has not been maybe what it should have been. And I'm not necessarily speaking for the city, but I'll speak for the city and say it's going to be better. I mean, there's a communication I know I sent out specifically to some individuals who have reached out directly. I think some of my colleagues have done the same. What I would ask, and I'm sure the mayor would ask, and everybody would ask, that you understand it's a precarious position that we're in because of some of the potential actions that will be taken. We have to be very careful about what can be communicated, what should be disseminated, so that we don't really muddy the waters and make things worse as far as getting to a final resolution. But the one thing I will say, Cheryl, I told you, if you're not hearing enough, please call us, email us, call me, whatever it is. We want to give you as much information as we can. The thing I'll say is sometimes it's difficult when you don't have any forward progress to report, then you tend not to want to report anything. Nothing to tell them. But Nora, to your point, and I think it's like sitting in a restaurant and you're wondering why your meal's taking so long. You feel a lot better when the server says, "I am so sorry, they're slammed in the kitchen." You don't get your meal, but at least you understand what's going on. And so I think we get the picture, and that's I think what we're all going to endeavor to do to make sure, I understand things move at the speed of government, but that doesn't mean that you need to stay in the dark as opposed to what's going on. Please know that action has been taken this whole time, but you need to know that. So I'm going to get that on the record. Okay, now, Monday, January 20th, there will be no meetings because it is the Martin Luther King Day holiday. And then on January 27th, Monday, January 27th at the committee of the whole meeting will not be held. It is canceled. And at 7 p.m., the regular council meeting will be held here in council chambers and via video conference. And that is all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Public Safety Committee will be meeting at 3 p.m. on Monday, January 27th. We have 4 items on the agenda. First will be the Leadership Intervention and Change Link Program briefing by the Center of Children and Youth Justice. Second will be the Six and Park Building update. Third will be the RRFA briefing. Fourth will be the emerging issues in public safety. And I will also address, thank you for all of your concerns. They have been well heard and well shared. And I will say that we are working with the Renton Police Department that has decided to direct the direct enforcement team to actively monitor the area. They're issuing citations as well as criminally charging anyone who goes into that space. And so please work with us as well and call 911 if you see anybody, if you see something, say something. And again, we do appreciate you very much. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Halloran.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on Monday, January the 27th at 4:15 p.m., the Community Services Committee will be meeting in the council conference room and via video conference. We have 2 items on the agenda. The first is the farmers market update, and the second is emerging issues in parks and recreation. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Councilmember McGurven.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Prince.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, January 27th at 5:45 p.m., the Planning and Development Committee will be meeting in the council conference room and by video conference. We have 3 items on the agenda. Overview of the 2025 Long Range Planning Work Program. Second, the Critical Area Ordinance Update Briefing. And then Emerging Issues in CED. And that is all, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, January 27 at 5 p.m., the Finance Committee will be meeting at the Council Conference Room and also via video conference. There are 2 items on the agenda, that's vouchers and emerging issues in finance. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Van.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Utilities Committee does not have any new business. But I wanted to, as in light of the situation that we're in, it's been more than a year, 2 years regarding the building, and also in light of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday coming up, as hard and difficult as is for our resident, our community to come and speak, I appreciate you all for coming, because that's how we're going to build this beloved community with differences and with the debate and discussion, and that we hear your concern, really appreciate it. And it shouldn't be that you have to come here every week, but I very much appreciate you coming. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. What is the wish of the council?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Prince, second by Councilmember Albertson that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.